Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramon, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with the Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I am extremely thrilled to have you join us today. We dedicate this podcast to exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose. And that purpose is a servant's heart. So you approach your work and your life with the servant's heart, and you can make a difference in your world. How cool is that? And we created this show to educate you, motivate you, and inspire you to make an impact in your world. You're going to talk about the impact today. My guest, we've only met twice, and he's from Italy, lives in the United States, and I'm part Italian. We connected right away, so you're going to love him. And while you're listening to him today, I want you to think about how you're going to serve yourself and others today and what impact you'll create today. And the key word there is today. Don't wait. Let's jump in. Let's make a difference in our world. Go serve somebody. And it could be sending them cat videos or a baby laughing, or giving somebody money. It doesn't matter. Just go serve people. Doing business and life with a servant's heart is the whole idea of this podcast. And today's episode is proudly sponsored by incredible partner, Pantheon Alliance. Would you like to be part of an exclusive community of high-income, successful business owners and entrepreneurs from very diverse industries? Together, we are building a thought leader platform to impact and change the world. And with that being said, if you want more information, just reach out to me and I'll get you all the information. Impact and change in the world. Your memory. Do you forget things? And I'm 63, I forget. I know people say, I'm old, old age. Rats that. I think we can fix that. I think we can help memory and build your brain. I was in fitness and, we taught people to build their biceps, triceps, legs, cardio. Why aren't we doing it with our brain, especially now with everything that's going on? Today's guest is going to talk us all about the brain and memory. Cosimo, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. And the love is mutual.
Back at you. He's from Italy. He moved to America to launch this program in America, and he's very successful. But Cosimo, I want to start with, why is the brain and memory so important?
Well, most of all nowadays, with all the new technology, AI revolutionized so many businesses and people in people's lives. So sometimes people think that AI can be maybe faster than them, smarter than them, or sometimes can really replace their genius, I would say. But I think AI, it's a fruit of a genius. And that reminds us that if you don't learn as fast as you need to learn, if you don't keep up with all the things that are changing in the world, you're going to be feeling behind and you're going to be behind. And so I think I have this way to say to my clients and to people that I speak, when I have thousands of people, I say, let's be smarter than AI. It's just a joke that I make, because sometimes when I have them think, hey, AI wouldn't work if your brain doesn't work, if you don't know what you want, if you don't know what you really want to learn, if you're not able to learn what AI tells you, you're not going to use it. What you don't use it, it doesn't produce it. And so, and it's really important for them to have techniques that allows them to feel confident in everything they are learning, in everything they want to apply. I worked with many different industries, and the recent one was like a real estate investor, and he said, so many things I have to learn, so many things I have to apply, but I'm not doing anything. And I said, and what are you doing in order to do something? He said, I'm still learning. I'm still learning more. So sometimes when we feel stagnant, we start feeling this information overload. So because we feel we have to learn more, we have to know more. But the reality is you have to apply what you learn. But the question is, how can you apply something you don't retain? And that's the dilemma. right? So that's why having techniques, understanding how your brain likes learning, what are the techniques that your brain really likes using to read 7, 20, also 44 books in 12 days, like I did. I mean, it's like, no, you have to know it. You have to know it, and then you have to apply the things you know, and they will impact your life. So
yeah, let's stop there. You just said, I don't know, was it you or somebody else read 44 books in 12 days?
it was me. It was
and
me.
you retain most information. I don't like to say 100%, but probably 90% of the information you still retain.
Well, I retained the 100% of information I wanted to retain. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great caveat. Yeah. I know your Italian means great point. I should say Steve. That's a great point, because what you want to learn is what you're going to learn.
Exactly. So I would say that if you apply an approach more selective than expensive, so like I need to know everything. No, what do you really want to know from this topic? That will make your brain more interested and more active and more focused to find the answers. And once you have the answer, since you already have the interest, guess what happens? You're going to have more retention. And so I mean, it was 2019 when I did that challenge within myself, because I wanted to create more content for my audience, but at the same time, I wanted to be better myself. And I did these 44 books in 12 days. They were my collaborators and team behind the scenes seeing this, and it was insane. Because I said, if I did it with all the things that we are doing in the world, you also can. And so since then, I have so many high-level CEOs and people that think they are busy that they can read easily 16 books in the recent one was in 6 weeks. So 16 books in 6 weeks. So, and remembering all of the things you want to remember without going back on those. So if you pick up one of those books that I learned and you open the page, I will tell you, oh yes, that topic is exactly what we applied here, blah, blah, blah. So it's beautiful. It's really, it makes you feel empowered, like so much power.
Yeah, and it sounds too good to be true. We're going to talk about my experience in a minute here, but it's interesting to talk about AI. You got to be smart to work with AI. I mean, not that nobody's not smart, but the smarter you are. So I want to talk about the 21-Day Genius. Cool program name, first of all. But you told me when I first met you that in 21 days, people can learn how to speak Spanish. Am I correct?
Well, 30 days. 21 days, you're speaking, but not like fluent. So you're speaking, but not fluent. So 30 days, yeah, you can speak more fluent than 21 days. Yes.
What's the secret?
So first of all, let's start understanding that the traditional education doesn't work for our brain. Let's understand, actually, let's go back. When you went to school, you were a kid, you had a lot of energy, and already in you was engraved the desire of learning. That's why you were asking why many times. If you have kids, there are people that get victims of the kids' why phase. And maybe you have been. For me, I have. And that makes you understand that learning is the very first thing we should be able to do, not only to survive, but to grow as human being and become better and better and better. From crawling to walking and running and doing everything we need to do, right? So then we go to school, and that fun part of learning and that fun of retrying, it becomes you are making mistakes. You are not doing good. You are, so this making mistakes is associated with you're not good. You have no value. You are losing your value. Besides, they tell you, hey, I'm going to quiz you in 2 weeks from now on those 60 pages. And they tell you, you have to just repeat over and over to memorize all of this. So repeating over and over, it doesn't work. So they provide you only one way of learning this. You're raising your hand saying, I want to pass this test, but repeating over and over makes me feel like I can fit all these things in my brain. And then you get anxious. And so what happens is you don't get your result. So you start doubting about your behaviors and your learning abilities. And so you start creating blocks in learning. Blocks can be, for example, distractions, procrastination, or feeling not good enough. Anyways, the answer to learn in Spanish is that when you go to school, the only thing they focus you on the most are grammar rules, and then they go to some words. They promise you you're going to do Spanish for 6 months. You say 6 months, I'm going to be able to speak it at least. But guess what happens? Since repeating over and over doesn't work long-term, but statistic in Hermann Ebbinghaus curve, it's called the Oblivion curve, It was a scientist. He studied that after 6 months, you don't repeat what you're doing. So if you're doing it, doesn't matter. But if you studied something, you didn't repeat it, you're going to lose about 97% of what you learned. So you're going to remember 3%. Means that if you studied ever Spanish in your life, your brain is still remembering 3 sentences out of 100 they were exposed to really well, and 3 words out of 100 you were exposed to. Okay. So now they never get to speak it. And what I need to defeat for them is they will never speak it in a month. So now let's understand how can we reverse this. First, studying grammar rules before knowing the words makes your brain confused. Why? Grammar rules I used with words. And if I give an example with the words that are in Spanish, the brain doesn't understand. Guess what happens? You don't understand the grammar rule. You're not able to use it. How can you associate the connections between something you don't know with something you never knew? So is it clear? So what we do is in the first 7 days, you learn about between 700 to 1,000 words in a week. All Spanish, all with the pronunciation, giving you also the rules of pronunciations. The second week, we do listening. Why? The way you pronounce words not necessarily is the same that a Spanish speaker pronounces it. So when they are speaking to you, you may know those words, but you can't understand them because they pronounce it in their native language. Now you have to get used to this listening. And so we chose specific videos that your brain will listen to with also closed captions. And so now you understand, oh, that word, oh, it's pronounced this way. Your brain makes that association like a kid. Think about when you were teaching your kids how to speak Spanish. They saw in a situation, they were repeating over and over that word, and there was a difference between beach and the other one, okay? So I would say to you that having those videos, they start associating those words with how their native speaker is speaking. So now what happens? Now is the time of grammar rules, reading, writing. Is exciting because by the second week, you know over 1,200 words. And if you did 1,000, you know over 1,500 words. And so now in the third week, we do grammar rules and it becomes super fun because now it's you say it that way. I want to say this sentence. I know the words, but how can I put them together? And so the grammar rules becomes interesting for our brain. And so after that, now you are also writing, reading. And so now what else? You need to start speaking. And I can tell you, by the 21st day that you start your first speaking appointment, you are so like thrilled, also nervous, also anxious. I know the words, but I don't know what to say. I don't know. So your brain is like feeling how to put all of those things together. And that's the beauty of learning a language, because once you start that speaking and they ask you the first question, and you understand the question, even if you understand 3-4 words out of 6, it doesn't matter. You understood the question for the first time from a native speaker. Now you're speaking, the magic happens. You start recalling the words you want to say, the grammar rules that you need, and you understand that our brain is not only fascinating, is the best asset we ever have in our life. And so the first day, you start speaking with this person, the person gives you feedback, say, you don't say this way, blah, blah, blah. And thanks to the techniques that you learned to the first day of this course, which are memory techniques for learning languages, now you're learning the feedback. And so the second day, right after the second day, so it's not making like next week, tomorrow, we're speaking again. You're applying what you learned yesterday and making new mistakes. And now you're associating yourself that making mistakes makes you better and better and better. And so by the 30th day, the 30th day is the best one, because we ask people to go to any Spanish locations, Spain itself or Mexico or any other countries that we speak Spanish. And we ask them to do a trip at least of 3 days, immerse themselves in the culture in the country with people that already took the course with them. And so they record themselves speaking Spanish and having so much fun. So this is how we bring someone to speak Spanish.
Yeah, and this works for every language. It's just not Spanish. You just happen you do Spanish, and the tools that you teach at the beginning, the memory techniques, we're going to jump into here. Yeah, we got some.
It's not just memory, so it's other things, but it's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I want to ask you is we do have time. The CEOs and it's reading books, it's like I had to take a test for my health license. I was so nervous because I'm not good at taking tests because retaining. I passed it, but I did go over and over and I stressed over it. You take the stress out of it, of learning, correct?
Absolutely. Well, stress is a form of energy, right? So
Yeah.
once your brain knows what to do, how to do it, and you know already that by applying that process, you're going to remember it, you feel
Yeah.
excited versus stressed. So you're changing that emotion in something more powerful and more productive, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, let's go over. So, audience, when I first met him, he did a test with me. And I've told many people this test. And I'll set it up and I'll let you set up Cosimo. So he asked me I did on my iPad to write down 10 numbers, either horizontally or vertically.
Yes.
I didn't tell you.
No, I asked you to do it the way you wanted. So
yeah, do it the way you wanted. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you take it from there.
Yeah. So what happens is, okay, our brain has different cognitive styles. So the way you place your numbers, and it's really not super relevant, but the way you want to memorize them will be relevant. And so the way you're writing also makes your brain feel like, hey, this is good for me to see it, to memorize it or not. Anyways, I don't want to get too much into details about that. The fascinating part is that everyone has a different cognitive styles, which we use to learn. People can be global, can be analytical, can be visual, can be verbal. And these are different combinations. So you can be analytical, visual, global, verbal, analytical, verbal, or global, verbal. So there are different combinations, right? Now, in your case, you were analytical and visual. So, and to understand that, analytical people like having all the details under control before they get to the big picture. So they want to have the big picture, but first give me the details to see it. A global person usually is a person that wants to have just the big picture and then go into details later. Everyone has all four, so our brain can decide what likes that moment, okay? But our brain prefers to use two every time for everything and then switching based on the situation. So after the exercise, I asked you to give me those numbers, then I memorized them. and after maybe 30 minutes we're talking, I would tell you, hey, do you want to know the numbers or no? And so I told you the numbers.
Exactly in the order. And I did them vertical, not horizontal. You told me that analytical, global. I'm analytical. You saw, you're right. But audience, here's the power of this. And I think stories and I think ROI is the big thing. Hey, if it works, we need to know about it. He texted me the next day. He goes, by the way, here's your numbers. Probably 12, 18 hours later, he wrote the numbers exactly as I told him. That's retention.
Yes.
So let's talk about business. We got some time here.
Awesome.
Why would I want to be able to learn, have better cognitive abilities, and learn more to help grow my business?
Awesome. As we said, the best asset in our life is our brain. So if you're not using to make money and to have a better life and to grow in your life, then you're using that counterproductive. So you better not use it, I would say. Then that's the very short answer. We're global people. Now let me give you a more extended answer. So I work with many companies, CEOs, as I said, or business people, also startups sometimes, which are very interesting because they start everything in that moment. And so they have to put it together, everything. But there is one common factor among all the successful business, the fact that they have to organize information, they have to retain what they're doing, they have to delegate processes, they have to be focused, they have to reduce stress to have maximum potential in what they're talking about, learning about, working about. And so in all those things they go through is actually the opposite. They feel, oh, there's so much to do. I'm feeling super busy. I'm feeling very distracted. There are so many things open, but I can't close all of them at the same time. So I feel I can't do everything. Or there are people that feel I procrastinate. I don't want to procrastinate, but it happens all the time. So there are so many things that happen in a business. Now, once people understand how their brain likes learning, they understand also what techniques actually work with their brain and techniques that don't work with their brain. Because what usually people do is they go on YouTube, they say, how can I organize better my team? They see a video, but maybe that technique works with the guy in the video. Maybe it doesn't work with your brain, which is the opposite of the cognitive styles you have. You try, you get frustrated even more than before. You already change things as well. You change it for the team you're working with or for your family, whatever it is you're doing that for, you change it. And then you're getting even more frustrated, losing even more trust in your abilities. So when I work with someone, I would say the very first thing is I want them to fall in love with their brain, understanding, oh my gosh, that's why I think that way. Oh yes, I always had that problem. I thought it was a problem, but actually it's a superpower that we can use this way. And so that shift, having the techniques that allows them to follow a process and have a result, and they know what result they're going to have, makes them feel from overwhelming, excited, from frustrated, like they feel confident and serenity. They're going to achieve exactly what they want and in the time they want it. So that's what I like about it. I'm very abstract about it because if you give me a specific example, I can use the example of the real estate investing guy.
There you go.
So what happens to him is that he was also a CPA. And so he was doing good with his business, but it was not his passion. So I asked him, okay, let's use some techniques on your brain. He was global visual. Global visual. And so now I said, okay, those techniques are the ones that work with you. There are mind maps here. I use them this way. There are other tools you can use among that, beat the clock, 45-10-5 technique. So there are different techniques that I put in place for him. And I said, okay, now, you have information overload. Let's use also memory technique to memorize and prioritize the information, the steps you need to do. After we prioritize it, and after we memorize it and we went through all the strategies, he had a very clear calendar and vision on what he needed to do. So now what happens? A month later, he put an offer on a 62 or 63 units building, and he won. So he went through the offer, and he actually had 63 doors. After 10 years, he was working on the real estate, and he never got that result before. And I said, what changed for you? Cosimo, you told me when we met, I would have been only 7 times more productive, but I'm about over 20 times more productive than before. I don't know what changed to my brain, but I know exactly what techniques I need to use every day. And if the goal changes it, the method can adapt to that. I didn't think that was possible, but the methods that you give me can be adapting to anything I want to do. This makes me confident. This makes me trustworthy for the people that are working with me. And I feel that I am in power and in charge and in control. And so this creates more leadership. This creates more guidance also for the people that are working with me. So really, like, totally changed the person. And I also had this test because we test people's brains before they start the course. And so we put the test one after the other, 21 days before, 21 days after, totally different tests. And I said, you remember this one? You remember this parameter? He said, this is insane. It was beautiful, man. I love working with people when they change the light in their eyes.
Oh, it's a light bulb moment. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing, audience, that he said, it's adaptive, these tools for, watching videos, reading books, all kinds of different things. So that's what I loved about it. It's not, don't have to keep going back to Cosimo and going, okay, I want to do this. Okay, you have to buy this. It's the package, your offer helps you with everyday life, in personal and professional, which I love. Right?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Use your brain all the time. So as I said, it goes in your business, it goes in your family, it goes in any relationships you have, it goes anywhere. It's important. That's why sometimes people don't understand the capital they have in their brain that they can use. And the cognitive capital, let's use it, that word. And once you reveal it to them, they start understanding that they had just a limit. There was this limit, but they can go beyond that limit and create life they always wanted. No,
it's just powerful. He doesn't know, but he's going to know it now. We're going to bring him out for part 2 because there's much more we can delve into. We've ran out of time, but let's have some fun. Let's do a little improv. Let's kind of play a little bit. So you have a reservation at a restaurant, table of 4. You're going to sit in one of the chairs. Who would you invite, dead or alive, in those 3 chairs? Why would you invite them, and what food would you order?
Can I invite anyone?
Anyone.
One? Okay.
Anyone.
I would invite Tony Robbins. I would invite Dean Graziosi, and I would invite Joe Dispenza. And of course, there is my wife next to me, right? So I also imagine myself. Oh, there are 4 chairs then.
We'll bring an extra chair for the wife. We have to do that.
Awesome. And so what would I order? I would order, it depends. I will ask them what they like. I eat everything. So I have no problems in ordering anything I want to. My favorite is pizza.
Okay, I was going to say it's probably pizza because we talked earlier.
Pizza and lasagna. Yes. Can be vegan. They can be vegan. They can be with meat. It doesn't matter. I like.
Give me the pie. Give me the pizza pie. That's all
I like all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Cosimo, this has been incredible. You've been a blessing. Thank you so much for being on. How can people connect with you?
Well, first of all, social media. I have a YouTube channel that I started this year with tips like how can you double your speed in the next 2 minutes of this video. So it's beautiful. Or like social YouTube, I love it. Instagram, I am the mindmap.coach. And if you message me for any questions you have on your brain, I will answer. I always answer everyone. So it takes me sometimes a few days before I answer you because there are a list of people that are contacting me. But I will answer you, and that will be amazing. And also, you can also reach out to my office. I can give you my office number, which is 303-589-7430. Text Steve Ramona Super Podcast, the Super Connector, and we know where you're coming from. And then let's have a good chat. I may connect you with one of my best mentors, or maybe if I'm available, I'll ask people to connect you with me. So
sounds good. Well, I appreciate that. And clients always say, here's your call to action. If you want help with your brain, you want a mind map, you want to learn more, learn faster, learn better, reach out and send this podcast out to people or watch it again yourself. Subscribe to the YouTube channel because guess what? You do a quick search, you'll be able to find that link. I use it all the time. And I know of many people that when they watch a show, they share it with others that way. Such a great way to be a servant's heart and helping others. I'm going to become his client. I've already talked about it. So I'm already going to put that out there because I think this is just magical because we're told to read all the time, which I think is important. But now he puts it on steroids and you can read and learn much better and be able to serve more people. So with that being said, me and Cosimo want to thank you so much for watching or listening to this podcast. We'll see you in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.